Just yesterday, a group of veterans were getting together here in the district at the Peru VA clinic, and they were going to talk to some reporters as they got together as part of their regular meeting to talk about a pension issue that is affecting some of them. And the VA called the cops and had the entire group removed from the premises just because this group of veterans wanted to talk to some reporters about a non-VA issue. Your reaction to that?
I want to rewind this. First off, who here actually knew the VA had their own police force? I was a prior military member. I've been through the VA and I continue through the VA to this day. Not once did I ever know they had a VA police force. So we're seeing the federal government overreach. Secondly, this is a non-violent group of veterans. They are not a protesting group of veterans. There are veterans that go to a support group. I know one of them personally. He's came on the campaign. He's tremendous. They're very respectful. And this support group comes together and they talk about issues that affect themselves when they were military members in post-military service. Those can include things mostly in traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, and how they're able to cope with it in their lives and other things they're able to do to cope with those things. And they talk to other people about it. Now this can also go into things that affect them in their life. The issue that came up was United States House Bill 83, I believe it was. And what it has to deal with is people who had pensions coming from the federal government. And those pensions were going to get cut by up to 60% if you had no civilian disabilities. Well, we have military members that were there that are receiving 100% disabled, cannot work, which is almost, it's the worst disability rating you can get from the VA. And then they're turning around in this pension and telling them they're not disabled in the civilian world. We have people that are missing limbs, disabled from the military, but then this House bill that was just passed in the House is going to be getting their pension cut because they're not disabled in the civilian world. So that's a problem in itself. What defines that? Well, you're disabled in the military world from your prior military service, but that disability doesn't carry over to the civilian world when you're missing arms and legs. There's no consistency here, and it's a complete abomination that they were kicked out because they had it cleared through the VA there. The reporters had the right to be there, and they were just voicing concerns and letting their voices be heard just like anybody else. I see it as an infringement on First Amendment rights because they weren't bothering the staff. The room's there for them every Friday. The only difference is there was reporters to let their voice be heard. And it didn't even have to do with the VA. And it didn't have to do with anything prior military service. It had to do with after the fact with the U.S. House bill that only pertains to civilians. And they talked about it because it affected their life.
Yeah, and one of the worst parts of all this is this group of veterans here from the area has been trying to bring up this issue to Congressman Adam Kinzinger, and he has not responded to them at all.
My advice would be, I'm a prior service member, that's a phone call. If you can't be there in person, make the phone call. You know, these guys are hurting. I mean, it's a struggle every day post-military service. It is for people who go on, even if you're successful or if you have a good life, at the end of the day, there's still that isolation that veterans feel compared to the civilian world because we are the 1%. And I would call upon Adam Kinzinger to just reach out with a phone call if you can't be there in person. That's the appropriate remedy, and let them know, hey, you're gonna be there, and you're gonna work for fix the situation.
Jacob, you are running for the state representative for the 76th district. This district had been represented for a quarter century by Frank Mautino, who is now into his second month as the state's Auditor General.
That's right.
And he has been under constant scrutiny since he took over as Auditor General because of the discovery of numerous campaign spending irregularities. He is being investigated by the State Legislative Oversight Board that oversees the Auditor General's office. He's being questioned by the State Board of Elections, and he is yet to answer questions a month after this scandal is broken. What do you have to say about Frank?
This comes down to leadership practices, and in his specific situation, it's specific to him because it's supposed to be a nonpartisan elected position. And what we saw that he had funds still being donated to him, supposedly to close his office when he moved up to state auditor. So once again, it's supposed to be a nonpartisan issue, so he shouldn't have been getting donations because it's a paid position. And my big take on it is there were 10 Republicans in the legislature out of the House that voted no. And those 10 Republicans are a super minority. and they are because they knew the things that were going on and they wanted somebody from the outside. I think that if you're going to do this stuff, although it's all alleged right now if there was any mass corruption that happened, but if you're going to do this stuff out of your own campaign funds, don't use your campaign funds. Don't use what somebody gave you to go there into your job and do your job. Focus on doing your job. If you want to live that leisure lifestyle, do it on your own time. But don't bring the people that you represent into it.
Yeah, and just for clarification, Mautino is accused of spending nearly $284,000 since 1999 for repairs and gas for campaign vehicles. He's got $250,000 in very questionable spending at Spring Valley City Bank. Plus, he apparently overpaid for a dumpster that he didn't even need. So he's got a lot of issues that he has to answer for.
He does. And if he is found in a corruption scandal, he should resign immediately.